Hello and welcome to Math World. Today we're going to talk about standard form. This is a new form to write our equation. So let's compare it real quick to slope-intercept form. We know that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our intercept. And x and y are independent and dependent variables. So we say this is a form because it's just the way that this equation looks. Now, the new form is going to be called standard form. Now, this form can be written as ax plus by equals c. Okay, now when would we use standard form instead of slope-intercept form? It's important to know which form we should be using. How should we be writing our equation? Well, slope-intercept form is pretty simple when we have a starting point, and one slope, one rate of change. Now, standard form is good when we have two slopes or two rates of changes. We actually have a rate of change as our x, and we also have one as a y. So this is really common maybe if you're selling two different things. Say you're selling hot dogs for $1 and burgers for $2. We want to see how that will affect our equation. We have two things that have rate of change. And our c is kind of like our goal. It's not a starting point. It's how much you want your other two variables, once they're all added up, to equal your goal. So let's see what this looks like as a problem. Let's say we have let's use a little bit tougher numbers. Let's say we have hot dogs that are for sale for $2. And say we have burgers that are for sale for $3. Okay, these are each rates of change. $2 per hot dog, $3 per burger. Now what's interesting about standard form is that neither the x nor the y is the independent or dependent variable here. They both kind of work together, and they each affect the other one equally. So in this case, you would assign one of them an x and one of them a y, but it wouldn't really matter. I'm going to say x is my hot dogs while y is my burgers. Okay? So the way this equation would be written is, well, if my hot dogs have a rate of change of 2, I would put that where this a is. That's like my first slope. So I would say 2x, $2 per hot dog. Also, I'm going to be making 3y, $3 per burger. Now, in this form, you would have to have a goal amount too. Otherwise, there'd be a third variable, and we don't want that. So we would actually always have a goal amount, and let's just say something like $100. So our goal would be, we're selling hot dogs for $2 and burgers for $3, and our goal is to make $100. Now, what's interesting about this form is, depending on how many hot dogs you sell, will decide how many burgers we sell. If we sell 50 hot dogs, well, what's 50 times 2? That's 100, meaning we're going to sell 0 hamburgers if we want it to still equal 100. So the fact that we sold 50 hot dogs means that we'd have to sell 0 burgers to still get that 100. Now, we graph this by saying, hey, if y is 0, x would be 50. This is actually an x-intercept because it's on the x-axis. We're actually going to find two different intercepts when graphing standard form. First, find your x-intercept, and then find your y-intercept. I'm going to find the y-intercept by doing the same thing. Instead of figuring out what my max hot dogs is, I'll figure out what is the max number of burgers I can sell. Now, I kind of knew before that I needed to be 50, because 50 times 2 is 100, but what if we don't know? It's a little bit tougher with 3. And it's a little bit tougher if these numbers are harder as well. The way we can do it is we actually can use our skills, our inverse operation, to isolate a variable. We want to say, how many burgers can we sell if we make 0 hot dogs? If we sell 0 hot dogs. So that's the trick. Make one of the variables 0 and then solve for the other variable. So right now, if my x is 0, what is my y going to be? Well, let's solve. 2 times 0 is 0. We still have a 3y. So 3y equals 100. And we can use inverse operation to solve. That would be divide both sides by 3. And 100 divided by 3, I believe, is 33.3. Repeating. So there's your y value. If x is 0, y needs to be 33.3. And I can graph that as well. X is 0, and I'll put my y value at 33.3 on the graph. Now, normal graphs would have numbers for us to fill in. But there's my two plots. I found the x-intercept and I found the y-intercept. So by finding the two intercepts, I can now connect this line, and there's my graph. Boom, boom. That's the graph for a standard form. We now have two different forms to work with in class, and we spent a lot of time on slope-intercept form, but we're going to start seeing standard form as well. And our goal is to know which one to use and being able to graph and solve for both of them. Well, that's it, and I'll see you in class. Now for a word from Papercut Games. This week's game, byword. This game is kind of like Scrabble, except for when you pick out your letters from this little bag, each of the letters is going to have a price on it. Like the vowels are pretty cheap, but C is worth 2. So you actually have to pay for the letters, which is a little bit extra of a thought. So you're going to buy the words or buy the letters if you want them, and then once you make a word, you actually sell the letters for how much they're worth. So the more expensive letters will get you more money back. So it's kind of a cool twist on Scrabble. You get to buy the letters and then sell them. And so if you like word games, check out Bywords. This is Mr. Bigsby, and I approve of this message.